Alright, hello everyone! Welcome back to BSG Online 8. With me here, I have SMMidi. I forgot to introduce myself, sorry. I'm ugyuu. I'll be hosting for the next two runs. And like I said, we have SMMidi here with Super Mario 3D World, running any percent category. SMMidi, take it away.
Hi there, I'm SMMidi. I speedrun a lot of different games, mainly DS recently, but also I've got some 3D Mario. I'm mainly a 3D World one-trick in terms of 3D Mario, but we're going to be showing off any percent today. We're going to be starting off with Toad. There's a lot of character changes. I think that's about it before we get into the run, so if we're ready, I'll give a countdown. So, 3, 2, 1, go! So, the first thing to note, this was originally on Wii U, and there will be a lot of differences between Wii U and Switch. We do not have to watch the 1:40 cutscene at the beginning, we can just get straight into the game. So, as I mentioned, there are character differences, I'll get onto them, but first off we have Toad. He runs very fast, so I like to use him for this first level, but some people use Luigi. We have the cat suit, which we're going to grab a backup. Because why not? That will allow us to do a lot of new movement and safety, mainly. You can do the new faster movement in this game, even without a catsuit for the most part, but the catsuit allows us to jump around and preserve our momentum in the air. Now, you'll notice again, another thing, I'm collecting green stars. Normally, we're not going out of our way in Mario games to collect things like this, not in any percent, but here, we do require 170 to play the final boss. So we're completing our first level there, and there will be plenty more catsuits to come should we lose them later, so that is fine. But we can only keep one in our reserves in this game. So I will be trying my best through the long periods where there are no more to keep that with us. So I'll mention character differences. So first off, we have Toad, who runs fast. Then we have Luigi. Luigi jumps higher, which allows us to keep in the air for longer and do our angled jumps, which is known as vectoring. That enables us to build up a lot of speed very quickly. So you'll see that in our next level when I start to use Luigi, how much faster we can go. Then we have Peach, who is very slow, but we do have the float mechanic. And if we... Oh, come on. If we use the float mechanic, we can... preserve, again, more speed in the air, as well as using the cat and, there we go, grab the shell. Yeah, using the cat to freeze us in the air and preserve more momentum. So, what you would have noticed there is I have a little cursor on the screen with Toad's emblem, because I'm using Toad right now. And that is essentially the old Wii U feature of the gamepad. So, we were able to tap the gamepad screen and do things like freeze enemies, grab stars quicker. As long as your hand with the cursor is touching the star, you will grab it quicker. So in this game, it is not using touch controls unless you're in handheld mode. It is using gyro controls. So all we need to do is press R to activate that, and I can just move the cursor wherever. So essentially, it means I can do it better than on Wii U, because on Wii U, you would have had to let go of the screen, let go of the buttons to use the screen. But there we're using the warp pipe. We're going to move straight on to World 2. And I'm going to use Luigi here. So again, vectoring is going to be jumping around at lots of angles to build up a lot more speed. So here we're going to use these spring platforms. That was really nice. A lot of the time you just sort of get stuck in the sand there. But we are doing alright. Slowing down a little bit, that's okay. And then here I'm going to freeze this enemy just so we can unlock this side box. Grab that extra star. And again, using the cursor to grab it quicker. Essentially, the reason why we can grab stars quicker, normally they have to float a little bit higher than the character we're using, or where they will actually end up, these stars. However, if we use the cursor, they will just stop straight away and we can grab the star. You might also notice that I'm trying my best to not get top of the flagpole on most levels. This is one of those rare Mario games where we actually don't want to be too high up. Because the flag will have to go that distance. There is some instances where we are falling from above and we might want to get golden flagpole, but they are pretty rare. And then also we had stamps there. I'm going to try my best to avoid stamps in this run. They're another thing from Wii U where you were able to use them on Miiverse. They are still in this game in snapshot mode, but we don't want to collect them because they lose us a few seconds after a level for an extra screen. So we're going to use Toad again. We're literally just going to run through this level, so good time for some donations, if we have any.
All right, thank you. Let me take a look at all the pages. We don't have any new donations coming in right now, but I guess I can talk about some incentives that we have open right now. Currently, we have Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze any percent. There's an incentive for let me see, Crazy Strategy Showcase, which has raised 37 out of 50 so far, so we're almost there. Besides that, we have Katamari Damacy Reroll any percent, choosing the bid war for remake or original. And with that, I hand it back to you.
Okay, so unfortunately we did lose a catsuit there, but the one benefit from that is that we do not have to wait for the stamina to run out of the flagpole, so we do grab it a little bit faster. Not really much of a consolation because I'm now running on one catsuit for quite some time, but that is okay. Unfortunately, I did get fireworks there, and the way you get fireworks in this game is the same as Super Mario Bros., where if there is a 1, 3, or a 6 on the end of the timer, you will get that number of fireworks. It's only going to cost us a few seconds each time, so it's not the end of the world if we do get that. There's no reward for it, really, just some extra score, so I'll try my best not to, though. So here, this would actually be the only level we'd use with Mario. You might notice I didn't talk about Mario's power-up or ability in this game. There is nothing. He's just an all-rounder. So we choose not to use him unless a particular runner is really comfortable with using Mario. Mario is the only character in Bowser's Fury, which is the counterpart to this game. So some people might choose to use him, but really there's no reason to. So here I'm going to use the gyro controls to my advantage, just going to tap all of these panels, and then I'm going to go straight into the pipe, and I'm going to grab the ball, hopefully grab the star with the ball, there we go, and then that allows us to just go straight through without going on the platforms. Makes that section a lot easier when you can get used to it. And just grab the coins for fun, why not? Gonna wait for fireworks here just to avoid the couple of seconds there. And that's the end of the level. I have realised that the next level does have a catsuit, so the run is saved. We will be back to 2 on this one. So this one's a mystery house. This one is not actually required on the path. You might notice that this game's very linear compared to most 3D Mario games. Once we've played a level, more of the path is going to unlock most of the time. This one is off on the side. However, I did mention the 170 green stars we need, and this gives us 5 really quick green stars. So it means we can play this instead of slower levels. So we're just going to enter here, and I'm going to use gyro quite a lot. First off, we have Galoombas, so if I tap them, it reduces their HP from 2 to 1. Here, I'm going to try and do the shell properly this time. There we go. Then here, we have Cat Goombas, and they are going to give me a cat suit, which is very nice. Wait for the box to spawn in. And then here, kill these enemies. And again, using the early star grab to my advantage, and then keep that fire bro still. And that's the level. And next up, we have more Galoombas, but they're not just normal Galoombas, they are big Galoombas. But we can do the same thing as with the regular ones we just saw. There are 3 of them. All we need to do is keep them held with the gamepad. Wow, that is Wii U. With the gyro controls. And then they will, again, be reduced from 2 HP to 1. Now, it's important that I drag the cursor rather than tap them, because tapping enemies and dragging the cursor over to enemies normally has a different interaction. So if you tap an enemy, it'll often pop, for example, with a Koopa Trooper, it pops the shell, so I tap the enemy. We'll also see with bullies later, I will tap them to knock them back. But with those enemies, you want to drag the cursor over, so you're stunning them rather than actually damaging them. So here we have a new power-up, another one. It's the Double Cherry, and we will be using 1 on this level. However, we will be grabbing all the stars. If you're familiar with this level, you might know that there's a lift with 4 written on it at the end, and that means we need 4 characters on that lift to be able to move it up and grab the star. However, I'm only going to use 2 just for this because there's no way to get around that lift, that switch. We're going to go straight through here, and we'll keep both with us now. Why not? It's a little bit slow, but it's a bit safer to do it now. I will go in this pipe. There we go. So it despawned because of being off screen. So here is the 4 lift. You could use multiple players as well, or multiple controllers instead of clones, but we don't need to do that either. We can just climb. And that is another difference between this game and Wii U. You can climb a lot higher in this game. However, Wii U, you were still able to do that trick because it's fairly simple. You just climb up in a straight line and jump down. Now, the way I got down from there does differ. So I used one of the new movement options in this game. If you don't have a cat suit, I know it's called the Odyssey, sort of mid-air Odyssey dive. I don't know. There's so many movement options from Odyssey that it is pretty much that. Essentially, you're rolling out of the air, or with a cat suit, you're doing this movement. And by doing that, you fall a lot quicker than with the actual dive that was in the original Wii U version. So that is the new movement option in this game. But here we have an auto-scroller, so there's really not that much going on here. The only thing I do need to watch out for is the cannon box that I'm about to pick up. If I damage myself with it, or if I get damaged, very possible to damage myself with this, by the way, because of the way that the speed works in this game. You can charge up sprint speed really fast in Switch version, and that kind of makes it easier to accidentally do a non-charged cannon shot. And also, these are the final cannons, so if I lose it from here, I need a backup star. Not the end of the world, but it would be ideal to not have that. But yeah, essentially we are just trying to keep it charged the whole time to not risk me damaging myself. Because it is a little bit frustrating to play a 2-minute auto-scroller and then end up being a star behind after it. There are plenty of backups in this route though if we did need them. So these enemies are fairly new. All we need to do is just hit them, or we can just ignore them. They will be fairly passive. They'll actually only go for us if we damage one of them in the group. So here, right at the end, the only time we can actually save on this level is by getting a camera skip a little bit early. So I'm going to try to go up here and move on the camera a little bit, and that's the level. So it's not over yet. We do have Boom Boom, but as I say, that is the level. It's Boom Boom. What we're going to do, though, is... Oh, I did not do it correctly that time, but it's only a second. Essentially, cycles 1 and 2, you want to hit him on the head, and then cycle 3, you want to hit him with the cat suit. But it's not a big deal. That's fine. So now he's going to go invisible. Makes the fight so much harder. And the cannon box here, we don't really need to keep, so I will just get rid of it. We won't really have that luxury of the extra power-up later on, though. Not very much. So the next Boom Boom's a little bit more scary. Especially considering the levels it leads into, which do not have many catsuits at all. Gonna wait for fireworks there. And I should mention, there will probably be a point in the run, I'll be surprised if there isn't, where I will accidentally climb the flagpole. Essentially, once you have pressed any direction other than neutral on the controller, you will start going up, and you can't stop going up. Once that's begun, you will just continue until your stamina's run out. So we don't really want to have that happen because that will cost us a little bit of time. That's really why at the end I'll slow down a little bit just to make sure I don't accidentally hold a direction the moment I get there. Next up we have 3-1. This is another fairly interesting speed option in this game. This is ice momentum, again carried over from Wii U. So what we're going to try and do here is, instead of doing any fancy movement on the ice, I'm just going to mash crouch. Now I'm going to carry a snowball with me and grab the star. There we go. Then I'm going to just mash crouch, go off this side, avoid the tree. That tree is my nemesis. The moment you hit that tree, it kills all your speed. Because you'll just end up climbing the tree. And then here, I will try... Oh, I just barely let go of it. That's okay. We will just climb up instead of grabbing the star with the snowball. And that's the level. Really, really quick when you use ice momentum. And next up is another level where people would often opt to use different characters. I used to use Luigi here until I realized that it's fairly difficult to do vectoring. Most of the levels we've seen so far are quite open, so you can do a lot of angled jumps to build up your speed. This is not one of those levels because it's in a mansion. It's a lot easier to have a consistent fast level with Toad. Very rarely I'll save 1 or 2 in-game seconds by using Luigi, and even then you would have to be doing pretty good at vectoring to achieve that. Here we have a star in another mystery box. All we need to do is just hold the box still. Normally it has to tilt for us to get to that star, however we do not need to wait for that. Here we have a little trick, so if I go and do a cat dive in the other direction when I'm standing on that 4th bookshelf, essentially they're in sets of 2, so technically the 2nd bookshelf. If I stand on that and then dive in the other direction, we do not need to open the 2 incorrect ones above. And that saves a little bit of time if you get it first try. But happy to do that there. We're just going to continue running through here, and oh, getting a little bonk there, that's okay. Bonks don't really lose that much time in this game. Compared to when I run games like Mario Odyssey, bonks seem a lot more tedious in that game. Really, you don't get stunned for that long in this game, it's not the end of the world. So I can use my gyro to stun these enemies. Oh, here we go. And we can also stun the big boos. Interesting thing with the big boos, we can actually stun them quicker with gyro. So if we stun them with gyro, even if they are boos that don't necessarily spawn in until you reach a certain distance away from them, which there are some of in the game, if you're holding where they will spawn in with gyro, they will just be invisible the whole time. Whereas if you use catsuit and you claw with them, or you claw them with catsuit, essentially what would happen is they will spawn in, damage you, and oh, that's fine. I just need to back out. That is an accidental entry. So essentially, if you hit the boo with the catsuit, you will just take damage, or you're most likely to. So it's best to use gyro. Gyro is the best power up in this game. It's not catsuit. So here we're coming over to a Captain Toad level. This was a bit of a precursor to the main Captain Toad game. But these levels are a little bit more basic. The levels in Captain Toad are a lot more in-depth. You do have one of the control options in this game, where even on all 6 Captain Toad levels, of which we're going to see 4 in this run, you literally do not use it. So there is an option to press A to dig something up from the ground. Now, there is nothing to dig in any of the levels in this game, but in the actual Captain Toad game, they used that feature a lot. But for some reason, there's just nothing here, but they did implement the feature. Now, this is quite an interesting level if you're using multiple controllers. In any percent right now, you're not allowed to use multiple controllers, but there is an option right now as a miscellaneous category to use multiple. The reason for that is mainly a out of bounds skip, which I'll come on to later, which allows you to do levels out of order, or one specific level. Here, all we can do though with one controller is just cut the corner on that plank. But what we would be able to do is, because multiple controllers would be allowed in that category, we'd be able to use 2 here. One would be in the ocean, or in the corner, and the other one would be at the spawn point. And if you bubble, essentially in multiplayer you can bubble to the other player. If you bubble with player 2, who is on the spawn point, you can then unbubble, and I'm going to warp there on the world map just to save a little bit of time. You can bubble and actually unbubble before you reach the other player and basically sequence break the level. It's a bit of a small sequence break, but it technically is, because the Captain Toad levels are mainly meant to be played in that sequence. So you can do that twice in the level and it saves a bunch of time. So here, very quick level. We are going to be skipping a star here, and that is intentional. The other one was in the corner, in the warp cloud. Essentially just a bonus area, and all that is just a run from left to right, and once you get to the end, you grab a green star. It's really slow. There's not really a reason for us to play it here. And actually, we're going to miss every cloud level in this run, because they're all really, really slow. Unless I need backups for whatever reason. Here we have another mini-boss. It's literally just some Magic Koopas. And then here, doing the quick star grab. Really easy to do that on these mini-bosses because once you've killed all the bosses, all the enemies, there is no threat to you using gyro to grab that star early. And then, unfortunately, we have the mandatory water level coming up. So, yeah, there are a couple of things for me to talk about, but really, it's a water level in a Mario game. What can I say? We will be using Toad to speed us up for the very small parts that we can, such as that, and actually this bit as well. But once we're in the water, we know how it goes. Oh, and now I'm apparently going in the water early. We don't want to do that. So here I'm going to hold dive. Once you're in the water, if you hold dive, you get a deep dive. So that allows us to get into the clear pipe faster and do less swimming. So this is another level where I'm going to skip a star. And the reason for that is because it's not just a single star of, oh, you need to go over here and here it is just waiting for you. It's kind of in two parts. So the first one, we will have to go above if we were grabbing it. Here I'll do another deep dive. So specifically in this section, I'll use the gyro to help me. So over there is essentially a cannon. And then if we go down to there and hit the broken wall with the cannon, like we did on 2-Castle, what would be opened up is a gold bonus room. I'm surprised I didn't take damage there. That's okay, though. So once you open up that bonus room, you go in and the green star is waiting there, but it's in so many parts that it's just not worth doing. However, that was a star that I probably would have done on Wii U. And the reason for that is because we played slightly less levels on Wii U because of an extra skip that we could do, or the out of bounds glitch that I will get onto when we get to World 4. And coming up, we have 3-7. This is another one where I've changed over characters a little bit. You'll probably notice that if you compared several runners' character choices, you're probably going to have a hard time to find two people that use the exact same characters for a run. Because there's no requirements to use a specific character on any levels here. If we're doing something like 380 stars, where we need more collectibles like stamps, there are some switches with some characters' emblems on. Like on 3-7, there was a Peach emblem, so we would have needed to use Peach there. However, in any percent, we don't need those stamps, so there's no real reason for us to use specific characters. Now, the skips are made a little bit harder if you use Toad here, but the extra speed of Toad makes it more than worth it. I would say even if I take a death, it's not the end of the world. So here, we're going to do that there, and then just do a cat dive. As long as I don't let go of the dive there, if I let... Oh, no. Oh, that's a death. Okay, that's fine. We have a cat suit. That's okay. So we do grab the checkpoint here, just for a little bit of safety. Come back to here. We just get to see it again. So we're going to dive down here. And as long as I hold my dive, we will get that area of effect, little white circle. That is essentially meaning we're not going to get stunned when we land. There are other ways of doing it, but that is a fairly simple way. Now here, all we need to do is just jump to the end, and that's the level. Grabbing that star on the way down, normally you'd have to press those switches to actually make the lift go down for us, and then we'd carry the lift down to get the star and the stamp. But we can just dive straight into the star. We don't need to bother with any of that. And next up is an auto-scroller, but this is an auto-scroller where we are allowed to do some little camera manipulation. So what I'm going to do is I am probably going to grab a Tanuki suit just for a little bit of safety, because I'm now only on one cat suit. If we do die here, though, with cat, it's not too bad. The next main level does have cat suits, so it's fine. But we're using Peach here because we're going to be jumping across trains. Some people do use Toad, but I'm going to opt to use Peach here. We'll grab Tanuki suit. And I am going to change back to cat just to make sure I can do this skip. Now, I want to be doing these train jumps on the rightmost side of the screen, because that will skip the most of the camera. So every time I'm doing this skip, very nice there. Every time I'm doing the skip, I'm doing this little cat scratch, and then I'm doing X to suspend myself in the air without losing height. And then I'm using the Peach Float, which will preserve height for longer. Now here, the reason we're doing that and not going back is so we can open this box to unlock Toad, Captain Toad, and grab another star. Now the level's not over, we do have Pom Pom, and this one is pretty interesting. There are different strategies between versions to spot the real one here, but the first cycle we just need to dive straight into get a free hit. And this one, apparently there is a particle of a different colour that you have to watch out for, and that one will be the real Pom Pom. Neither of those I was right, but that's okay. On Wii U, on the second and third cycles, you would actually see that the smoke trail would be lower. For some reason, not on the first one, but on the second and the third, the smoke trail will be lower, and that, in my opinion, was so much easier, but that was patched in this game. So quite a nice finish there, and we will be coming on to 3-B, which is a little mini-boss. So this next mini-boss is something we've not yet seen very much. It is Histocrat, and that will give us catsuits if we really wanted them, but we would need to wait for them to spawn in. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, we are just going to jump behind him and just cat dive onto him. There are multiple ways of doing this, so again, quite a nice trick to learn if you're starting off in the game. So this random object just comes down from the sky really menacingly, when really it's just a boss where none of the attacks are going to go through if I do it properly. So we're going to use Luigi here because he has a higher jump. That does make this a lot easier. And this is actually a trick where you don't need catsuit, but having it does help. So we go into the boss arena, skip the cutscene. And the first cycle is the most awkward because the boss will turn around, and if he's facing you too much, then he's a little bit more likely to hit you. But on these other two, he's just going to be facing the front. We don't want to do this too early because otherwise we'll get hit. There's a little bit of period where we can't damage him. And missed that one, but that's okay. That's it. So normally what he will do is he will spawn in some little snakes that will have plates on sometimes. And you can climb on the plates. Some of them will not have plates, and if you climb on those, you'll just take damage. But the plates do sometimes have catsuits. If we really wanted another catsuit, then before the boss arena, on the right-hand side before the lift, there's actually a question mark block, and that would have had a catsuit in for us. But as I mentioned, 4-1, which is coming up, has catsuits for us anyway. So we're just going to go straight back up to 2. But not for long, because we're using Peach again, and a common theme in this run, if we're using Peach, you know something interesting is going to happen. We are doing a damage boost technique, which is going to save us quite some time. Skips us from doing a pseudo auto-scroller of jumping on that big ant for a little while. And essentially we're able to just climb straight past and use the iframes to just climb straight to the top while we're invincible. So again, change over to Peach. Sorry, one other thing I should mention. Sometimes I am not changing characters between levels. Obviously here I did. But I am still going to be using the feature where I can unselect and reselect a character. And the reason for that is because for some reason it's a little bit, as in like half a second each time, faster for you to deselect and reselect the same character. So here we're just going to float over. We don't really need to worry about the big ant there. We can just fly over the spikes. Here I am going to climb up, dive down, straight into the pipe. And here is another catsuit if we needed it. Not really, because I'm already on 2. And I'm going to try my best to climb as high as possible. Very good. And do a little dive and get on the platform. So good thing about that is that you can back that up a little bit. If you're up there and you for some reason didn't get enough height, then you can just do a little wall jump and then do the Odyssey mid-air dive to just get on the platform. And also there are some instances where if you do the cat movement mid-air, the little cat scratch in the air, when you grab the star, very annoying thing that happens, a little bit interesting, what will happen is your input gets dropped, and there's only a couple of frames that will happen on. Here I'm actually not going to grab catsuit, just in case I take damage at the beginning. Like that. Always seems to happen. It just makes that a lot easier for me. So if you get your input dropped, what you'll have to do, unless you notice very quickly, is you'll have to fall on the spikes and then use your other catsuit to sort of back it up and go on the lower path, which I find really, really hard. I have managed to do it recently, but I'm not consistent at it. So really, I just want to get it the normal way, which I did, thankfully. Here is another level where we can get the catsuit back. However, it's in a roulette block. You might be thinking, okay, we're relying on RNG, but as long as I do it when I land, we will get the catsuit because it is always starting on the same item when we get out of the pipe. So here we're going to grab these green coins, again using gyro to our advantage. And here there is a warp pipe, however we're not going to use it. Really nice level in my opinion to practice vectoring. There are some open levels, a lot more open and friendly to practice vectoring than this one, but in my opinion this is the next best thing. Because those end platforms are separated in a way where you have to jump at angles to land on each one. That's really the main place I can think of where if you're playing casually, you might even notice a small speed increase if you're playing that bit fast because you're going at angles. Now, we will see this level later because, as I mentioned, there is a difference between Wii U and Switch where 4-2 would be our final level for this world. We'd be moving straight on to World 5. Then when we get to World 8, what we'd be able to do is a out-of-bounds world map glitch, where essentially you get into World 8, which is World Bowser, and before you do any levels, you climb on the clear pipe in the overworld. Yep, grab that start, and that's all good. You'd climb on that clear pipe in the overworld, which we will see very late into the run. Essentially, there's a tiny bit, there's an invisible wall, but you can barely jump over it. And then if you climb on that clear pipe, you can fall down into World 7, fall past World 7, and then into World 4, onto the island, which we're about to see on the right-hand side of the level we're about to select. So here, because that's been patched the original way, we are going to be... I need to use Peach here. Because the original way has been patched, we have to do a couple more levels so we can get to 4-Mystery House, which is 10 really quick green stars. So it's still worth us going out of our way to do these extra levels, rather than other levels later on that might be a lot slower. However, recently there has been some advancements with a new out-of-bounds glitch. It doesn't involve the clear pipe at all. It is in World 8, but it's really unfriendly. It's fairly difficult, and you need to use 3 controllers. So that's the reason why multiple controllers have been added as a category. So here I am going to be skipping the lift, hopefully jumping on one of these enemies and getting straight into the warp box there to skip that. Really, really nice skip. Normally, if you were using the lift, you would then activate the lift before using the mystery box, and that would sort of minimize your time loss, but really we don't want to be doing it that way round. We would rather just finish that there to make it a lot faster. And using Peach means you can use the float, which makes it much friendlier. So here we're going to do the Mystery House, and then we're actually going to do 4-2 again to use the warp pipe, because that's much more worth it than playing the rest of the levels here. We're going to use Toad. Toad is always fast on these Mystery Houses, and especially because this one involves a little bit of running. So using this movement to my advantage and get into that box. Do a little bit of jumping around there. Not too much, because most of the time with Toad you might as well just run, unless you're really good at vectoring. Now, I really should mention the other movement option that is available in this game. Most of the time you will see, if you're watching a run of this level, vectoring, but top level runs will use a mix of that, and on some levels, crouch boosting. And the way you crouch boost is essentially when you land on the ground, you can press crouch. Let's get back on that platform. Let's not fail this. Yeah, if you press crouch and then instantly jump after, within a certain amount of frames window, several frames, every single time, you will preserve the extra little bit of speed you get when you crouch, because that is a thing that exists in this game. When you crouch, there's a tiny bit more speed, and then most of the time you won't actually preserve that speed unless you do crouch boosting. That allows for some really interesting levels. I would say the most interesting is 6-4, which involves raft cycles in a poison lake. If you do crouch boosting, like the world record does, you can skip a cycle on top of the cycle that I will be skipping. So it's definitely worth doing if you can, but it's really, really difficult to do consistently. So a lot of runners just choose not to use it. Here, this is literally just the exact same level, but with no catsuits, so this is probably another good time for any messages.
Yes, thank you very much. We do have a €5 donation, or I think $5 donation from Guybrush Freeman saying, let's make that DK Crazy Strat Showcase happen. Which is definitely what I want to see, because we're only, let me refresh, we are only €8 away from reaching that €50 goal of the Crazy Strategy Showcase. So let's make it happen. And with that, I have a question for you, actually.
Go ahead.
Have you run any other Mario games?
Good question. Yeah, so I've run other Mario games in the past. Mainly, well, I started off with this game, mainly. This was one of my first games that I speedran, at least fairly seriously, back on the Wii U. But I would say I'm a lot better at the Switch version because of the different movement options that are in this game. I did also do Mario Galaxy. That is also a very interesting run, I would say. I do watch a lot of Mario Galaxy runs because the stuff you can do, especially with 2 controllers in that game, just opens the game wide open. When I ran it, that wasn't really a thing, so it was just 1 player. Other than that, I've done a lot of 2D Mario. I quite like those, but they're really punishing. People call this game punishing, where if you run out of your catsuits, then you're just destined to lose time on every level, but that's not really as much of a thing on the Switch version because of vectoring. But I have run most of the 2D Mario games. They all sort of rely on the one power-up of the game. Like, the most recent one is Mario U, or New Super Mario Bros. U, with the Super Acorn, with the squirrel. And if you lose that, you can't do all the fancy, like, extra height jumps and stuff that you would be able to do with that. So yeah, really, really important to keep that in that run. But yeah, they're the main games I've run. I would definitely say that 3D World is my best one though. So coming on to this level, there are some keys we need to collect, and the reason we need to collect these is to unlock a box. However, we don't actually need to collect these. I did mention crouch boosting. It is possible to do not only crouch boosting over to that island all the way in the distance, but it's possible to do shell jumps. If you're familiar with earlier 2D Mario games or Mario Maker of recent, I'm really glad I did an extra hit there. I did not know that enemy was there. Normally I sort of make those charging chucks disperse to not get hit, and it almost backfired. But yeah, if you do crouch boosting or shell jumps onto this platform, you will be able to skip grabbing those keys. You might still want to grab some stars, but you'll skip grabbing those keys. So it makes it much quicker. And really good as an IL strategy, but it's another really, really difficult one for the sake of just skipping those 5 keys on this level. Here we only have Plessy. This is the only appearance we're going to see of Plessy in this run. A lot of Plessy levels, they're a fork in the road, so we're able to select different ones. Or select different ones so we don't have to play the Plessy level. However, here it's a mandatory one. 5-1 is unskippable. We do have to play it. Getting on that flagpole at the bottom. And the star count I'm going to finish this level with is quite important. So I'm going to do some very strange map movement. So the reason I need to do this is so we have a certain number of stars to play our next level. I'm gonna get this path to unlock, and you'll notice that there is a Bowser statue there. These Bowser statues we've mainly been skipping so far because they're all really slow levels. That one is the exact opposite. If you're familiar with stuff like Mario Maker, one-screen levels, it's not really a puzzle, but it's definitely a one-screen level. It's extremely quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to World 1. And the reason for that, if you were paying really close attention, is when we walk from World 1 to 2, this level is unlocked. So when we play, when we play this level, we are able to come back, grab these extra 5 green stars. We were not able to play this level earlier because we didn't play the rest of World 1. The bridge hadn't spawned in. So here, again, the green stars here are really, really fast. So we're able to play it to save us from playing some slow levels later. Now here, I am skipping some stars to skip some cycles. Please make this one. Nice. And I'm going to stun these biddy buds and then fall back down here. This saves an unreasonable amount of time. But yeah, being able to do that there, really, really nice. And another difference between this and other runs, such as 380 stars, where you're essentially playing every level and collecting every star. The difference there is that you would play 1-Captain Toad first. And on 3-Captain Toad, which was our first one in this run, we had some text boxes to skip. So if we were playing 1-Captain Toad first, we would have the text boxes to skip, which would still be moving on the cycles, so it makes the early cycle a lot harder to hit. But here we are going to be unlocking this this level rather, where we need 80 stars for it. We have 81. And it's a very, very quick level. Again, another one where you're supposed to have clones, but who cares? It's a tiny wall. You can even do this without items. So who needs them? Who needs walls? They're just, you know, they're just suggestions. We can just go around them. We can just climb in this game. And that's the level. So that saves us doing 5-2, which is a circus-themed level. Really, really cool level, in my opinion. There's a lot of acrobatics going on with the lifts and stuff, or the swings. But this one's way, way faster, so we might as well do that one. Even with the massive detour of going all the way to the bottom of the map, it is still worth us doing that. Here we are going to be doing 5-A. This is another mini-boss. This time there are 5 charging chucks to deal with. Hopefully I can just do that. Unfortunately not getting them all there. So there are a couple of ways of doing this. The one I'm most comfortable with is just not moving at the beginning. I've tried the way that's slightly faster, where you dive forward and then back into the enemies again. But I've only managed to hit that once. I'm more consistent with this one. But even then, it's not massive deal. We have the catsuit, so we can just easily take them out. And the next one's another catsuit level, if we needed any. So here, all we'd need to do is just pop the block that the ant is sitting on, and it would just kill it and drop the catsuit for us, but we don't need it right now. So here there are some hidden blocks to grab this. Oh, grab the star. There we go. There is some hidden blocks there to grab the star. Normally people climb around these clear pipes and actually climb above all those platforms. Reason for that is because it's slightly faster. I've not really experienced that much of a speed increase by doing that. Probably because I set it up a little bit slow. But also because you have to grab that star. And then if you... There we go. Yeah, if you grab that star... What you're trying to do is you don't want to climb too high up to spawn in those fuzzies. Essentially what happens if you go within a certain distance of the fuzzies, at least at the beginning, it doesn't really apply to these ones because they already are there when you use the cannon, so their cycles have been altered. But at the beginning, if you use the climbing, then the fuzzies' cycles will be thrown off. Whereas because I didn't do that, I can literally just use the clear pipe cannon and just mash to avoid hitting those fuzzies. For the longest time, I actually didn't do that because I was paranoid I would get hit. But it turns out you can just mash there, and as long as you've done it properly, you won't get hit. The next one coming up is 5-6. So this introduces, talking of Mario Galaxy, this introduces the flip panels from Super Mario Galaxy. And because there's no spin jump in the base game here, what we're going to be using is simply jumping. So if we do jumps, we are able to change these platforms from red to blue. Let's grab that star. Let's not miss that one. That one's a very quick one. Let's change directions. Okay, right. This is definitely going. This is definitely going. So, okay. Let's go up, please. Thank you. Right. Let's just grab the checkpoint, judging by how this one's going. We are going to skip this green pipe. There is a star in there, but the reason we're going to skip it is because it is a green ball star. And those ones are really slow. It's another type of star we're not going to see in this run unless I need backups. And reason for that is the green ball will essentially start at the top of a section that you can't move unless you use the flip panels. So the only way of moving the ball, traversing the ball down from top to the bottom is using those flip panels. And if it gets to the bottom, you get the green star. But that all sounds really slow. It's a really fun idea, but it's slow, so we're not doing it. And here, this is another interesting level. We're going to be climbing on these bullet bill launchers just to speed us up a little bit. So climb on that one, and then climb on the wall to skip all of the staircase, both on the right side and the left side. Here, we're going to grab the spring, because we can actually throw the spring into the star. And then this is fairly important for preserving my speed. If I turn the corner in a specific way, there we go, making sure I don't get hit, we can keep a bunch of speed going, and that's probably the best momentum I'm likely to get in this run without using crouch boosting. So here, we just need to get in this mystery box, grab that star, and again, grab this trampoline so we can throw it onto here, and then do a ground pound to get a higher jump. Now here's very interesting. If I press X or Y, I use X and A in Mario games. I know that's not most people's way, but that's my way. If you press X or Y, as soon as you have climbed into that gap, what the game will allow you to do is just get the green star and go in the gap. If you just hold up there to climb, you will not get in the gap and you will not get the green star. So you have to press X there to do that little cat scratch in the air and grab that green star. And also in this game, if you do fail that 2 times, the second one, the first climb in this game essentially is a really tall climb. The second one is sort of a last stretch, like a tiny climb that you get. And then if you grab the wall a 3rd time without landing, you will be essentially just falling down really slowly. So you don't want to be doing that. Now here is some green coins to get. And these are some of the few platforms that you actually can't stun with the gyro in this game. The gyro controls. A lot of them do allow us to do that, but here that's not an option, and I'm taking damage. Not dying, so that's okay, but we might be making a slightly later cycle here, unless I... There we go, we did catch it up, okay. That is surprising, but essentially that green star, that track there are 2 square boxes. One of them does not have the green star, one of them does. If you have to go and grab that catsuit there, you're probably missing it. The fact that I also did the other bit really slowly out of the warp box, I'm really surprised I managed to make that. But nice that I managed to, because, you know, we want to keep our 2 green stars, but we also, green stars? Our 2 catsuits, but we also want to be going fast. Making these early cycles. So this is a really easy boss as long as you do the movement in the right timings. As long as you just make him do this one, then this one, then this one for the platforms, then he will just go into the same place every single time and just makes the boss really, really easy. And I might wait for fireworks here. Oh, I'm going to wait again for fireworks because I missed the flagpole. It wouldn't be a 3D World run without missing the flagpole once or twice. Or 20 times. Okay, coming up, we now have 6-1. This world is quite long. There are also some quite generous catsuit levels. So we come out of a catsuit level there. In just 3 levels time, we're going to get more catsuits. And then in 1 level's time after that, 1 main level's time, we'll have more catsuits. But after that, we will be moving on to the Gauntlet, which is what I like to call the awful run of levels between there and mid-World 7, where there are 0 catsuits. In fact, in World 7, there is 1 catsuit. Not even just a catsuit level where you could grab like 2 or 3. No, there's 1 catsuit. So it's really, really difficult. Hopefully we'll be able to keep them so we can do the tricks that we want to. Now here, I'm going to be actually getting out of the clear pipe. Reason for that is because if we get in that warp box in this version, you do not preserve momentum. I mean, you don't preserve momentum if you have to grab the wall there, but it is still a little bit faster for me to do it that way. So that is the difference between Wii U. On Wii U, out of mystery boxes and warp boxes, you were able to preserve your momentum however you finished. So there would be an incentive to actually do more fast movement in the boundaries that you are allowed in whatever area. But for some reason in this version that's not a thing, so you can just take it easy when you get there. Now this is quite important. I'm going to try my best to not get in the clear pipes here. You can do this with any character in the game, but I find Luigi easier. Quite a nice cycle there actually. If you do that quite fast, you actually won't risk falling into that middle pipe with when the fuzzies are there. Whereas normally I'm doing it slow enough, so if I fall in, I will just instantly take damage. People like to do that because it's not that much faster. It does save quite a bit of time if you do it properly, like I did there. But if you go in the clear pipes, if you're not familiar with falling in there, you might have to wait an extra cycle, constantly flipping between safe clear pipes where there are no fuzzies. Just because of how the cycles work there. Now, 6-2 is coming up, and this one, the main thing to mention here really is the skips we're going to be able to do with a single star. And this might, that is bad. Actually, no, it's not. The next level is a catsuit level. It's fine. Yeah, so I'm going to hit these bullies, use the roll, and also use gyro. Apparently that counted as both. That counted as a stun and a hit, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to grab catsuit here, and we will skip this warp box. The reason why is because that warp box does not warp us to this side. It warps us under the ship. And the only thing that's under the ship is time loss. There's a star and a stamp. And the star is really slow because we have to go in the ship to grab it. And the... come on. The stamp is obviously something we don't need anyway. So it's just generally faster here to avoid going in at all. And it's quite nice to do. Again, another trick you can do itemless. All you need to do is just climb on the planks. And you've finished it. Saves a bunch of time. Yeah, as I say, one of the slowest green stars in the game. In this route, if not the slowest. Right, now this one is fairly important, and we know what we do for fairly important levels. We use Peach, so, or at least I do. You can use Toad here, and Toad would save me a grand total of 1 in-game second from my testing, which is about 0.6 seconds in real time. But there's no real reason to do that because, again, it's 0.6 seconds. It might be a little bit more than that, but really the only time it saves is the distance between the warp box at the end and the flagpole. So I'm just going to stick to being comfortable here and using Peach, which allows me to use the float. So what we're trying to do is I'm going to climb on this clear pipe. We're going to wait until I know that other raft is over there because I got here a little bit quick. I'm then going to go around... and the reason I climb on it that way is so that I can land on the lift a little bit earlier. I am not going to skip that. We are going to grab the checkpoint just in case this goes badly. I mean, it's more likely to go badly now I've not grabbed it, but... now I have grabbed it, but that's okay. So here, I'm going to try my best to make this cycle. Are we going to make it? Just barely not. It's fine. So, because I grabbed the checkpoint, which actually I'm glad I did, because that was pretty close. Not 100% sure if I would have made it without. Good thing is we have grabbed this green star already, so we can just bypass that and make this cycle. Which of course is going to cost us the time for a death, but the cycles work a little bit differently when you respawn. So it's not as bad as you might expect, but it is still pretty bad. In terms of the run as a whole though, it's really not a big deal, because again, in terms of catsuits, the next main level has one, so we're fine. And yeah, this is the only reason you'd want to use Toad, this end section. Then coming up, we have 6-A, another mini boss. This one is essentially the boss will just come out of a pipe at random. Sometimes it will be a pipe on the other side, and then he'll have to go round the building. But sometimes it will be one on the same side, and that's what we want. But really, all we need to do is just do some rolling long jumps into him. So just go on that side, hit him with gyro because I bonked the wall. That one, I'll just use more gyro, that's okay. The gyro's pretty nice on this level, actually. Quite intuitive compared to the actual bullies. Ironically makes the bullies harder to deal with than Prince Bully. And that's the level. Then coming up we have 6-6, probably one of the main levels to show off what this game means, really, with the catsuits. There's a lot of climbing involved. You can do it without climbing, but they put an abundance of catsuits in here. There's at least 3 I can think of. In fact, it's a little strange. There's one catsuit in a regular question mark block at the beginning here, and then immediately after, as in one platform after, there is a hidden block with another catsuit. Don't ask me why, there just is. It's in that one there, if you're curious, but yeah, quite nice. I can use gyro, actually, rather than describing things, I can just point to them. This is really the PowerPoint presentation 3D Mario game. So here we're going to get into that warp box. Get in the mystery box, and instantly I'm going to be charging a spin, just so I can get on this platform. Let's not do that. Okay, then we bonked and got on the platform. That is a oddity of this game. Sometimes that can happen. But nonetheless, we're able to grab that green star rather than climb round. Then here, getting as high up on that wall as possible to skip some of it, and then jumping over that gap. And that is the level. So that is the final catsuit level we're going to have for quite some time. The next one is 7-5, which is quite some time away. We have, I believe, 5 main levels before we get there. And I am sitting on 2 catsuits. That is fine. There is a way of doing that level a little bit faster if I just didn't grab the catsuit there, but I would very much like the safety. Now, there is a skip you can do here on this level. It's Fuzzy Time Mine. This is an auto-scroller, but there are a couple of opportunities where you can skip the camera. This one is the main one. If you skip the camera in this initial section, you are saving a bunch of time. This is probably the biggest time save I don't do that I really should do at my level. I've tried to practice it. It just doesn't really feel safe to me right now because essentially you're doing all of the movement that you can see me doing here. Well, essentially I will be doing it faster and with specific setups like jumping and cat scratching at specific points, but the slopes really throw me off. These platform cycles really throw me off as well. But if you did do it properly, you would climb here onto that cloud, the right cloud specifically, because the left side has a death barrier before these fuzzies spawn in. Then you would actually go back for the star that I grabbed. Instead, I opted to grab the star, then do that there, which is a lot nicer. Here, though, I can do quite a easy skip. It is just spawning it in and then going back down for the star. That does save a little bit of time. That one's a lot more welcoming. Of course, the problem is, as I just mentioned, there are not many catsuits for a very long time. So it's not really worth me doing the skip here, especially because I have hit it a grand total of 1 time. So really gonna save that for another time, I think. But that's the level. And coming up, we have 6-Mystery House. It's one of the funniest levels in the game. If you think you've seen Gyro, wait until this level, because really, I don't know if we can even describe this as a level. When you use Gyro here, it just removes all difficulty. This level would actually be fairly hard if you didn't have Gyro at your disposal, because essentially, if you fail a Mystery House, I know it's only 5 green stars, so you'd only have to do a little bit again, but if you fail a single green star on a Mystery House, you have to do the whole thing again. So here, instead of grabbing the ball and throwing it down, we're just going to use gyro, and then we're going to do it again. But here, we can use gyro to hit the ball over there, but it's a little bit unintuitive, so I'll just grab it myself. Here, we don't even need the ball. We're just going to hit the power block and just hit the other one for good measure, and then hit these question mark panels, and that's it. In my opinion, that question mark panel one is a little bit harder when you don't have gyro, because you have to sort of kick the balls into the question mark panels. But with gyro, you can literally just tap them. Oh, that is not worth warping. It won't lose me too much time. But yeah, warp pipes in the world map are generally not worth doing. I genuinely don't think that's even going to lose me much time. That's probably 1 or 2. So, this is another auto-scroller. However, there is one thing I can do at the end. Or, sorry. Yeah, at the end and in the middle, actually. Which is to move the camera on. And you will move the camera on really so much if I do it properly. But I do want to be cautious here, because if I go too high above where the camera is at the time, for example, if I hold up and right here, the game will just say no, and it will throw me in a random different direction. Well, not random, but it will just throw me in a direction that I don't want to be in. So I'm trying my best to not do this level too fast. But here I'll grab this green star. And also, I want to be paying attention to where the Hammer Bro and Fire Bros are spawning in, because I would prefer not to take damage. So, really, that is damage. That's okay. So we're going to have 3 levels without Catsuit. That's okay. I would say good time for some messages if we have any, though.
Sure, I can share some messages. Thank you. Let's see. If you are liking this event and would like to participate in a future BSG event, I have very good news, because BSG Annual 2023 has open submissions. This week-long marathon will run from the 13th of August until the 19th of August. Submissions are open until April 2nd. More information about the event can be found on our website, bsgmarathon.com.
So we have Boom Boom here again. It's another boss where we want to be hitting him on the head. However, I am on 1 catsuit for not just this, but the next 3 levels. And then after that, there is only 1 I can grab anyway. So, excuse me if I play this very safely, because I do not want to be going on to these next levels and doing itemless. It would be interesting, because that was not the intention today. We are not running itemless, but there is always that one chance when you're doing a no reset that you just have to pivot to an itemless run. I have done a little bit of practice of itemless recently, but it's really, really different to doing a run of any %. On the levels that are made really difficult in itemless, though, we will pretty much be guaranteed to have a catsuit. So even if we are playing itemless, it's not a big deal. But I'm writing myself off too quickly. We've still got 1 catsuit. We do, though, have another mini-boss. This is not Histocrat this time. This is Motley Boss Blob. And there's a little way of manipulating him. However, I am going to play safe. I'm going to play extra safe this time. I normally do grab the double cherries here, just for a little bit of safety. But this time, I will just make sure I grab every single one. Because the way double cherries work is if you take damage with a clone, you will not lose the power-up you have, you will just lose the clone. However, if you are on your own as the character, then you will take damage. So there is a cherry at the beginning in the question mark block on the right-hand side that I'm going to skip because I'm not going to play that safe. But the way to manipulate this boss, and it makes this boss so much easier. This used to be my nemesis when I didn't know this trick, but essentially, if you just run around the edge, or not even run, I'm not even holding sprint right now, or dash. You just run around the edge, not getting hit, so you don't go too close to him, and he will always go, the real Motley, will go towards the center. The blobs will go wherever, but Motley will go himself towards the center. So, knowing that, it makes the boss a lot easier. However, we are going to have a rematch of this boss later that spawns in gold rings of energy. And if you get hit by one of those rings, you are going to be losing that clone or taking damage. The problem with the gold rings compared to the third boss fight of Motley, which is in Boss Blitz, post-game level. We're not going to be seeing that today, but the Cherry Motley has faster rings, which actually makes the boss easier. Because if you're doing the manipulation that I'm just doing, the rings just go past you really fast. Because they're so quick, they go further as well, but they just sort of disperse out of where you need to be. So the gold one is by far harder. But by the time we get to the gold one, we will have 2 catsuits anyway from preceding levels. So now we're going to be moving on to World 7. Now, World 7's not just risky because I'm only using 1 catsuit. It's risky because from now on, I have been implementing some difficult stuff into the run. A lot of people, for example, use Peach on 7-4, but I've opted to use Luigi because he is faster. But the way the level is structured, do not hit me, please. Thank you. Yeah, just stunning that enemy there will get rid of him. However, I was missing with Gyro. Yeah, the way that level is structured is basically a bunch of rising and falling blocks in the lava. Let's grab that green ring. Thank you. Yeah, so using Peach is nice because you have that float if you're in a sticky situation. But at the same time, using Luigi is so much faster if I can pull it off. So here we're just going to kill the tower really easily. As long as we've got 1 catsuit. If you're playing that itemless, now that is difficult, in my opinion. And we're skipping Green Star too because it's another Ball Star. Now, 7-3, I won't be too frustrated if we take damage here. This is supposed to be a really quick dash level. We are going to use Peach, even though there aren't many skips we can do. There is a little one at the end, but that's it really. Whether or not I'm comfortable going for it or not, or I might just take the easy way and use the pipe, especially being on 1 catsuit. That might be advisable. But essentially the way these boost pads work in this level, or across the game in general, is everyone is set to a fixed speed. So Peach actually becomes not that much slower. It's only really the start section and when you don't have boost. So if I take damage, I might reload the save file, which is allowed in this version. It's much quicker in this version. The reason for that is because you don't have to reboot from the home menu and use the Wii U's ridiculously long load times to then go back into the game. It just wasn't worth it. By that point, you might as well go into a Toad house and have the 75% chance that you get your... Okay, let's reload the save. Okay, let's think about this. Right, so the only level I'm going to lose time on is 7-4. So I think I'm going to do it itemless. That would be difficult, but I think it's worth it. So we're going to give it a go. I've not been practicing this itemless, so this is going to be interesting. But yeah, essentially what I was going to describe on that level is because all of the boost pads are on different elevations, for some reason you just always get a missed input for some reason if you just jump on the wrong frame. Last time I did a run, I got 3 missed inputs, but they were all in really a lot safer places. That was not a safe place, so unfortunately we did take damage. Here, this means I'm going to be doing this level with no catsuit. There is a Tanuki here, so I'll grab that, but I do not play this level with Tanuki, so yeah, this is going to be an experience. I'm going to go over to here. I'm not going to skip the platform. Normally what I would do with a catsuit is I would, not fall, I would go onto that platform with the stamp on it, and I would essentially just do some acrobatics, climb onto there, and I would be, hopefully, grab that checkpoint, I would hopefully be missing the stamp. The reason you miss the stamp is obviously it saves you that few extra seconds that you would otherwise get after the level. But also, let's try and make this cycle. Good. This is not too slow, actually, as long as I get this end bit. Yeah, so getting that cycle would be nice. Okay, you know what? I'm going to kill the bullies. Normally you can do this jump across. However, here it would just be easier if I just killed these. and then spawned in the platform. That's fine. And that's the level. So now we're only going to get one catsuit, and we're not going to get it straight away because we have a mini-boss to deal with. Now this one is, again, one of the only ones in the game where RNG plays a big part. So we're going to choose the first boss here, which is one that we are not familiar with already in this form. Prince Bully would just be the same thing as before, essentially. Just with more fireballs, I'm fairly sure. However, this one unlocks the correct level we do want to play. Now, this one is interesting because it's possible to one cycle here. You need 3 hits on the boss, and he spawns in 3 of these rocks from the start. He has not killed it. Wow, there were like 3 rocks there. 3 of these lava rocks that just went straight there and just somehow did not hit this rock. I am surprised. But either way, using all 3 of those, getting a 1 cycle, very nice, making up for that 7-4. Well, to be honest, the 7-3. There was nothing wrong with my 7-4. But yeah, getting missed inputs is a bit unfortunate. Not really much I can do about it. So coming up is 7-5, and again, tiny bit of time loss I'm going to get through not having catsuit, and that will be, I will have to go around rather than climbing the wall. But there is 1 catsuit to grab here, and I will make sure I grab it and keep it. I'll probably change back to Tanuki if I'm honest, just for that bit of safety, because if I get onto 7-Castle and I do not have that catsuit, it is going to make my life a lot harder. And I might even need to have a character change to make it possible to grab one of the stars. It will all become very obvious when I get there. I will use catsuit here, though, just to fall down. So here, I'm going to grab the star, and we're just going to ignore the lift and just do a massive rolling long jump down. Grab that checkpoint, and I'm going to use Tanuki here. Yep, instantly taking damage. So I'm now on a slightly slower cycle as well. If I do that first bit faster, which is essentially when I have catsuit, I can do it faster. I'm going to skip this key just to pan the camera a little bit less at the end. I'm going to wait for this enemy as well. Yeah, so these are on a global cycle as far as I'm aware. So the moment... Alright, I'm going to grab... I'm going to grab this catsuit because I'm worried now. Thankfully, I've killed all the enemies, so the only threat we have is thousands of fuzzies coming after us. I mean, no big deal, right? So... Gonna fall down here, make sure I do not jump on these spring platforms because that's basically guaranteed death. You're going straight into those fuzzies. So grab that last key. Normally you're intended to grab those keys in order and then you end up starting the escape sequence at the same time as the camera panning. But I prefer it, and also it's very slightly faster to save one of the earlier keys till the end. Now, this level that is coming up, 7-Captain Toad, it's going to be important for me to use gyro. This is one of the more important ones for gyro in terms of Captain Toad levels. But the only reason for that is to skip some thwomp cycles. By stunning the thwomps, we're able to make them go down or up whenever we want to. So at the beginning, I am going to need to run in a circle around the perimeter and then go into the center. From there, I'll be using a bunch of gyro. I'm probably going to play this start a little bit safe just so I don't damage myself to the bullet bills, because that will not be helpful later on. Yeah. So I'm going to try my best to charge up sprint speed. I'm then going to keep this thwomp stunned so it can go up when I get there. I'm then going to keep this one stunned so I can go up when I get there. Then keep this one stunned so he is constantly up. And there is only one way you can use these thwomps, when they're up fully or down fully. When they are going up even slightly, you will have to wait the entire cycle for them to go back down again, if you want to climb on them. And that's the level. I used to lose a bunch of time here because I was not good at gyro. I would essentially just play the level normally. But this is one of those levels where on Wii U, it would just be basically impossible to play that level well, because you can't really do all the things that you need to at once, which is the sprint speed, the gyro, and the stick movement, and the camera movement, which is using the other stick. Whereas in this game, it's a lot easier. Unless you do what some people do and use their nose on the gamepad, which was quite funny when that was a thing. Now, this is another important level, so we're going to be using Peach. And I'm going to skip, hopefully, one of these cycles of grey platforms. If those platforms were going in a little bit too much, there is a backup strat, but it's harder. And what it would have been is essentially not even using the grey platforms, just going straight onto the green ones, which would not go into the lava at all. But that requires you to be doing the movement pretty much really, really fast, really, really optimized. And that runs the risk of falling into the lava. Now here, these enemies are, again, I'm fairly sure, from Mario Galaxy. Or a recent appearance in Mario Galaxy. If you get hit by one of those, you are dead. They are an instant kill. So they will ignore the fact that I have a cat suit. And then from there I have what a mushroom would give me. So essentially 3 HP. That just ignores it and it just kills you. Now there's a way of skipping that clear pipe at the end. But if I did that, there's a big chance that if I do it wrong, I will hit the trigger for the extra enemy that spawned in when I was in the clear pipe. Now if you're in the clear pipe, there's no threat. You won't get hit by that enemy. But if you're not in the clear pipe and you activate that enemy, you hear the sound of that enemy and you just... yeah, you're filled with dread straight away, because you know what's going to happen. Probably death. Yeah, not often that you'll spawn in that enemy. Let's restart. Not often that you'll spawn in that enemy and not take damage. But yeah, another really nice quality of life thing about this version is that you can try again with level, rather than with most Mario games, especially 2D ones, where you have to complete a level before having that option. Makes this game a lot nicer to learn. So here, we need to not only use Catsuit to do that part properly. You can do that a bit itemless if you do diagonal wall jumps. But that's really difficult, and yeah, we're not going to do that. So here, I am going to try my best. Oh, I missed the cycle. That's okay. Next level has Catsuits, so we're fine. Yeah, so the problem I had there is that I spawned in those box cycles a little bit too early. I forgot to get back to Catsuit for me to do that skip. Essentially, if I do what I was doing, but then just jump across, it saves us from having to kill those Hammer Bros. Yeah, so this is a fight from World 1, originally. This one's a little bit harder because he will spawn in more. Let's do it properly. Okay, good. I'm surprised they got that, because the red one, I often don't have much experience hitting that well. Yeah, so he does more attacks here, but essentially we want to hit him in the face because that will count for 3 hits. Normally you'll have to hit him, hit the balls into the car, and that will just damage the car, and then after 3 hits, points will appear. However, if you hit him in the face, points are going to appear straight away. So that is much better to do that. And then it's even slower if you're using things like boomerangs or fire balls to kill him. So now we have 8-1. This is another catsuit level. However, there is about a 30-second-ish cutscene coming up here. This is a non-skippable for whatever reason. He's just going to capture the Sprixies again. And we're going to have to rescue them in World 8. So 8-1, there are 2 catsuits we can grab again. And then there's going to be a star we're going to skip. Right now we are on decent enough pace. We are going to be on pace to finish this run fairly underestimate. About, I would say, 7 or 8 minutes or so. As long as everything here goes well. But that really does depend on how long I can keep these catsuits for. And another thing is, so far we haven't missed any stars, so that's a good thing. So this is the point where we would be doing the out of bounds world map glitch on Wii U. You would climb onto that little blue post with the yellow light in the far left corner to climb onto that clear pipe and then fall down. However, that is not a thing in this version. Let's use Luigi here and use Gyro. Just grab that catsuit straight away so that if I take damage to this spike, it's not really an issue. And I'm going to keep clearing... not clearing. Going to keep jumping in the air. Let's restart this, actually, because I don't want to be doing the next levels with no catsuit. That will be... Oh, only one catsuit. That will be bad. Yeah, so take damage there. It's not really a big issue. So using these cat scratches in the air allows me to sort of go at or hold different angles, whereas when you're frozen in the air, you're actually not moving anywhere, but you're still holding that different direction. So you're sort of building up speed without actually going anywhere at a different angle. Grab that checkpoint and get the other catsuit. Just kill that fire bro on top as well. Get your 2-in-1 there. And climb up here, skip another mystery box, warp box. Grab that catsuit, but only do it optimally. So the moment I get to that star, just press X, and then I'm able to just dive the other direction. Fairly difficult to do, but once you start doing it, it's pretty nice to start doing that. And then making a fairly early cycle because I missed out that green star too. So that's one of the...
time for... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's one of the few levels where on Wii U you will be able to climb for less distance. So if you have to back it up on those last platforms, then it's a little bit riskier. But yeah, we have time for some messages coming up on this level.
Yeah, sure. We have a $10 donation from, I really hope I don't mispronounce the name, but we have a $10 donation from Nufakas with no comments. But thank you very much. That goes towards a very good charity because we are raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organization committed to preventing mental health issues and also to support everyone who is dealing with mental health issues themselves or in their family. All of your donations will go to Mind.
Alright, so this level again, we're going to be playing another mystery box. This one we have to wait for the spinning wheel to go all the way around. Making sure I don't use gyro there, because otherwise it will stun the platform. That will be pretty slow. And this one, I'm going to climb on the clear pipe. However, there's a little bit you have to be careful for there. I'm going to skip green star 2 as well. I'm fairly high up, so I'll just get gold flag. So when you get onto that clear pipe, there are two parts of the clear pipe. There's the clear pipe entrance point, where it's a little bit bigger, looks like the cannons, or the clear pipe cannons, but it's sort of the other side of it. So that part, compared to the actual clear pipe, is slightly higher. So you might have noticed that I actually didn't sprint straight away. I got onto the clear pipe launcher, and I then, or on top of it rather, and then fell down. So falling down onto the clear pipe, you kind of have to watch out for so that you're not holding the wrong direction or going off the level, because yeah, they're just going to die probably. Here we're going to do one of the funniest things in this game, literally just freezing the spiked bars. The level Champions Road, which is the final level in the game, in post-game, there are some spiked bars where, again, gyro isn't banned or anything on that level artificially by the game. You can still use gyro. So you can literally just stun the spike bars if you felt more comfortable doing that. Although I find sometimes it throws me off a little bit more. So here we can literally just run around the edge and not really bother with any of these enemies. This is an auto-scroller we can't really skip too much of. However, at the end we will be getting onto the bottom platform as fast as possible. The first train that was similar to this, the enemy was guarding a stamp, so I didn't bother going down there. Here, it's guarding a star, so I do want to go down on that path. And it is just on this platform, so skipping a bunch of the camera, getting that star, and climbing the pipe. As long as I'm holding ZL when I'm on that pipe, or one of the buttons that will allow me to go in. Even if I've just done an Odyssey dive into it, it will still allow me to just go straight in, which is a really, really nice feature. So here, exactly the same as the previous one, and I have got a grand total of 0 correct. I had an instinct that that was the middle one, and I changed my mind. I thought I saw the different coloured particle on that one, but that's okay. Really just minimal lost for that. And now we're coming on to a couple of difficult levels again. So this one is 8-4, another level where I have used all 3 different characters in the run. Obviously, Mario not included there. I originally used to use Peach, I think, because of the float, and the float will become very obvious very quickly why it's useful. But again, Peach slow, so not advisable. Not for speed, anyway. Advisable if we want to play safe, but really deaths don't cost us too much time, so we'd like to show off the interesting stuff. And Luigi, I think I save a tiny bit of time with, but I die far too often. And also Toad's a lot faster and more consistent to just run through. So here, again, making sure I do not get some input drops when I cat scratch off of that platform. I'm going to stun these spike bars. These are a menace, these spike bars. They have got rid of so many of my catsuits. I probably think that is where I've lost the most catsuits in the run, honestly. Comparing even things like difficult tricks in the game, they are something that are just there, and yet they are, for some reason, the thing that I struggle the most with. Another mystery box here, grabbing this star. And that's sort of the exact sort of mystery box where you could build up some momentum near the end because of that extra platform at the top. But again, Switch version doesn't allow you to do that. Finishing the level there. So if you're using Luigi there, you're doing a lot more jumping around. You're a lot less focused on using gyro to reveal where the platforms are. You don't actually have to use gyro to reveal where they are. The platforms are there, so you can just run on invisible platforms the whole time and just let them go there whenever your character is there. But the gyro allows you to open up a lot more. So here, this is going to be one of the last levels we use Peach for. This is quite a big skip. This is a skip I really should have implemented months ago, and I have only done it fairly recently. This has been a thing through both versions. So I'm going to do a little movement at the beginning, do a float, do a scratch, and then dive, skip that platform. So that's the easy bit, although I've still died to that before, but that's really a me problem. But coming up here, skipping that one again. This one's the difficult one coming up. So we have another mystery box, and I do need the light box to do this mystery box. If I take damage in here, I'm just sort of stuck chilling with some boos that I can't kill. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Just gonna dive straight in. Or let's just not dive straight in. Let's just not dive in. Okay, can I go back? This is a first. Okay. Fairly sure I can. No, I can't. Okay. Right, that is the most unusual death I've had here. That's fine. We'll do it again. We got one more attempt. That's not the hard bit. So we got one catsuit for the hard bit now. It is possible to go back. Maybe I should learn it. It's possible to go back and even itemless, I'm fairly sure. Climb on these platforms with the Bowser statues. But that's okay. So the reason I'm doing that is because there are no more backup stars. This used to be a star that I didn't get in the route, but I have started to do this one instead now. The only problem is that if I do something silly like that, I then have to go back and grab it. So here, I'm going to try my best to climb on the candles rather than use the lift. Now, the candles will try their best to throw you off. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is really bad. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do it, unfortunately, unless I try and do it without catsuit. So if you climb on the candles, what it allows you to do is, normally the candles, as you would have been able to see there for a brief moment, they will, okay, let's go in the correct door. They will be on a slope, and sometimes the jump just won't go through. That didn't really happen there, but I think I'll just play safe. I've not done this itemless, so that's not really worth implementing. But yeah, essentially you want to climb on this one. A good thing the cursor actually allows us to... let's not die, but yeah, the cursor allows us to actually light up things. But yeah, using these candles, you then climb on the wall this side, and then you have to change the camera angle manually, because if you don't change the camera angle, the game won't actually let you change over. Actually, interesting that you can't even change the camera if you're standing on the platform here. But yeah, you want to climb on all these candles. Use the Peach float if you're using Peach. Makes it a lot easier. And coming up to the end of this level. Now here, as I explained earlier, stunning the Boo straight away with Gyro is fine. Again, not the end of the world. We're still very much on track to finish this run way under estimate, so that's fine. But yeah, pretty difficult trick if you're going into it with one cat suit because you lost it in a way that I've never done before. So now we have 8- Mystery House, which frustratingly has 2 cat suits on the bat. So yeah, but that's fine. The good thing is that we have 2 cat suits going into this final level where they are useful. So this one is probably one of the hardest levels I can think of to do itemless. This is a thing in itemless. There is a category called 242 stars itemless, where it's really not a very popular, for understandable reasons, category extension. Essentially, 243 stars is a main board category, which is all stars, no post game. However, there's an itemless version called itemless 242 stars, and what that means is you grab every star that you can grab without any power-ups, excluding mushrooms, because they are allowed for accessibility of the run. Also, you can get a mushroom power-up if you grab a checkpoint anyway, so there wouldn't really be a reason to ban them, because then you'd have to ban checkpoints too, really. Let's get the star. So, believe it or not, you can do Mystery House Claw Climb without climbing, but it's very, very difficult. So I'm grabbing this star. Normally you'd have to do things like spin jumps, ground pounds. This one's a very interesting one. You actually have to spin jump or ground pound on the metal sign over there to make sure you can get enough height. And then this final star in normal itemless runs is one that people will often skip. People will just stop at 9 out of 10 and bank their 9 stars from here, because this one's really hard with no items. Essentially, you have to do some really late Odyssey dives into the other direction. However, because you have to do them late, if you do them a little bit too early, you'll dive in the wrong direction and instantly fail. Or if you dive too late, then you'll just bonk on platform. So yeah, really, really unforgiving star. But in 242 stars, you would have to do that because technically you can do it. And that run introduces some really interesting skips or tricks to do the stars. Because there is a trick where you have to do shenanigans with 3 controllers at once to grab a single star. So it's definitely an interesting run, but yeah, itemless is a lot more accessible because you don't have to do all the difficult tricks. Right, I dived in the wrong direction. I let go just too late to not dive there. That's okay. So the main skip we do here does actually use Tanuki suit. So not the end of the world if we lose Cat here. So Tanuki suit is coming up in a little bit, but what I want to do is I want to fall off of this platform early, quite high up, just so I can make it over here. Then fall down here, do some dives. Unfortunately getting the landing, the slow landing. We're going to grab Tanuki, and the reason we're grabbing Tanuki and using Toad is for this skip. So I'm going to start running anti-clockwise, or clockwise actually works. I've just noticed I'm doing clockwise. I've done both, it's fine. And literally just dive down, or not dive, float down with the Tanuki. And by doing that, you skip the entire Grumblump. That saves way too much time for me to not do it at this point. So actually, I should be saving time on this level, even with that death, compared to previous runs that have not done this Tanuki skip. And then here, I'm actually not going to do any ground pounds. Ground pounds make the platform angry and speed up the platform for a certain amount of time. But they are very risky, and I used to use Peach here, so this is, yeah, a bit of an unforgiving level. It's really easy to just fall off the platform, and once you've fallen off, there's basically no way back, even if you are using Tanuki. So I'm going to keep using Tanuki just to get to the end. Avoid fireworks because a 1 on the time order, giving me fireworks there. And finish the level. Now, the only stuff left in the run is 2 mini-bosses that we've already seen. That is Histocrat and Motley. And then we also have the final boss, which is 8-Castle. So really, this is the last point for any messages or donations in the run for these 2 mini-bosses before we get to the last level.
Sure thing, sure thing. Let me take a look. Okay. Alright. Sorry. If you would like to see more on-site speedrunning events, or if you would like to go one yourself, our brothers in the United Kingdom are hosting UKSG Green 2023 in Glasgow. This will run on May 20th and May 21st. They will be raising money for Crisis. Those submissions are still open until April 22nd. 21st, actually. I would also like to thank ESA for supporting the event and letting us restream to their channel. Do you want me to keep going?
If you've got any more to say, you can. Or I can describe what's going on with the boss again.
Sure. Let's see. We would like to remind you that aside from BSG events and their own marathons, ESA hosts many other events across Europe as well, including the British UKSG that I just mentioned, Hackathon, and more, so be sure to drop a follow to see whenever something is live.
Okay, as if we could not have stranger levels coming up here, with 8-6 going how it did, 8-7 death. Somehow, I mean, I'm glad I changed to Tanuki there, because that... Interesting. I realized I didn't grab the cherry and then I took damage because of it, but yeah, we're fine. I don't use Tanuki on these last levels, so it really doesn't mean too much. There are also catsuits on the final level if I do need them. But again, we still have that one in the reserve, which I'll probably grab now actually. And this, again, this Histocrat is the exact same as we did before, so all I need to do is either a ground pound or a spin jump, and then obviously dive into the boss. Gonna make sure I don't pop the catsuit while I'm in the lift, because the catsuit will just go flying off the map, because the catsuit will not have the same momentum that we do on the lift. Now, this level is quite interesting. If you do want to grab a catsuit at the beginning, too bad, because there is only a coin in the question mark block. However, there is a hidden block that has a catsuit. But apart from that, really, the rest of the boss is the exact same, as far as I'm aware. Or at least it is here, because we don't see any of the boss. So, finishing the level, and then we will come on to the final boss, which is Meowser, as he is dubbed. How could you call him anything else? So, what we're going to need to do is, I will not be doing Meowser skip, but I might as well describe what it is. Essentially, it's a thing that works in both versions, and what you're able to do when we get to Captain Toad, before the big lift that goes all the way over to the boss arena, which is a massive distance. If you thought the distance between that Tanuki jump on 8-7 was big, this one's even bigger. However, it's really difficult on Switch. It's been made a lot harder. And also, it's not as worth going for it, because we can skip the Meowser cutscene. So, whereas it saved something like a minute and a half on Wii U, it saves however long it takes to do the cutscene on Wii U, less on this version, because we can just skip it. So here, we're just going to get a massive jump. We don't actually need to grab any catsuits. We don't need to grab any green stars here, because this is the final level. We don't have any more requirements. So I can bypass everything coming up. The second one would be for the bullies here, and the first one was hidden on a platform lower down. Okay, that's fine. We'll go this way. So I can just climb through the platform. Not really sure why. I thought I ground pounded there. That would have been bad. Not really sure why I didn't grab the platform on one of those, but that's okay. So this lift skips all the way over to here. If we were doing Meowser skip, we would be charging up a bunch of momentum using crouch boosting or however. And going onto the platforms, the cloud platforms in part of this boss fight, hopefully if you were doing it about halfway through, that actually only spawn in when you get close enough, so we couldn't actually see them when we were on the lift. But instead, we're going to have to play the full fight. I am, however, going to do the camera skip in Phase 2. Sorry, spoilers, there is a Phase 2 to the Bowser fight. I mean, who could have guessed? But here, all we're doing is waiting for the boss to finish doing his silly cat things. And then we're going to hit the power block and kill him once and for all. So, skipping this green star, again, we don't really need to do it. You can, though, because you don't actually see the green stars tick over, because timing will end on the points appearing on the flagpole, and I will give a bit of a warning quite far in advance for that. So we're sitting nicely on 2 green stars, and we can do some climbing here if we really wanted to, further ahead. However, there is an invisible wall until we get to a certain point with the camera, before we can then scroll here, go for further ahead, and hit that power block. We're then going to get straight in, not grabbing that timer. And we're not now just facing one Meowser, we're facing multiple Meowsers, not just 2, just however many there are in this section. It's far too many. But I'm going to be fairly quiet here, because I'm going to try my best to get on a specific cloud, which I will describe after I've done it. There we go, and we've done it. So, essentially what I did is I climbed on the left side, not on the leftmost cloud, but slightly to the right of that. And the reason for that is because there are scrolling clouds where I'm not going to make it. If I'm on the far left side, I'm not going to make it. So I have to be slightly to the right to make that. That was a really nice camera skip, though. Coming up, we are not going to get points appearing here. Points will be on the flagpole. But all we need is 4 quick hits, and because we do those little camera movements on the stairs, makes that even easier. Normally they're firing fireballs at you and stuff, but not having to deal with that makes it much easier. So there's about another half a minute before we can then get to the flagpole. This is another unskippable. And then I'm going to try to get top of the flagpole. This is one of those interesting timing intricacies, because we want to get top of the flagpole here because points will appear quicker. So I'll try my best to do that. And then once that happens, that will be time. Getting in this clear pipe, and there will be a tiny cutscene here before we can get on the flag. And then in about 3 seconds, and time. Alright, pretty good, actually. I mean, missing a couple of those late skips. 8-6 was unfortunate, but I won't dwell on it. That was just some things going on that I wasn't expecting. The rest of the run was really, really good. I've only had 1 or 2 runs faster than that before, so I'm really, really happy with that. So yeah, again, quick shout outs I want to do is for the Discord server. If you have any questions about movement or anything in this game, or tutorials or notes, they'll be more than happy to help. I've also got my notes publicly available if you want to copy those and do this run for yourself. And I also want to shout out my community on Twitch for sticking around, watching runs of this all the time, and tons of other games. We do streams on Twitch usually a few times a week with games like this, DS games, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested, definitely drop a follow. And I think that's about it.
All right, GG's, good run, very nice. That was really good to see. Anyway, thank you SMMidi for showing off that absolute classic of a Mario game. Coming up next, we have let me see, Spark the Electric Jester Free, which is going to be run by Shovel Claws. It's going to be any %. But before that, we're going to go into a very quick intermission. We'll be right back with more runs. And yeah, stay tuned.